students, I'm Aanchal Sharma, your educator for paper 1. So in the previous video, we solved few questions that were asked in your UGC exam, English Literature, Shift 1. And in this video, we'll be discussing the other few questions that were asked in that cycle. Without wasting much time, let us jump into the question and answers. Let us see the first question. Name the dramas which fall within the category of the theatre of absurd. So they are asking about the dramas that are there under the category of theatre of absurd. So what is this theatre of absurd? This theatre of absurd are basically these plays, are those plays that absurdly talk about the life. They talk about and touch upon the topic of existentialism. How are we living in this life? Why are we living? What is the basic purpose? Is there any God or not? Right? So Martin Epstein and other writers like Samuel Beckett are very famous whenever we talk about the theatre of the absurd. And here they are asking about the dramas that will fall under the category of the theatre of the absurd. So is it The Birthday Party, The End Game, Mrs. Warren's Profession, The Rhinoceros, and The Riders to the Sea? So what would be the correct answer? So the correct answer would be C. That means it would be A, B, and D. A, B, and D are the correct answers. They are the plays that fall under the category of the theatre of the absurd, while Mrs. Warren's Profession and The Riders to the Sea are not the plays that will fall under this category. Let us read more about it. So The Birthday Party, that was published in 1957, is the first full-length play by Harold Pinter. It is about Stanley Weber. He is the protagonist, Stanley Weber, and he is a piano player who lives in a roundabout hoarding, and this house is the house of who? This house is the house of Meg and Petty Bowles. They are living in the English seaside town, probably on the south coast, not too far from London. The two sinister traders, Goldberg and McCann, also visit them, and they are supposedly visiting for the birthday party of Stanley. So the protagonist that we have, Stanley, is living with Meg and Petty, and now it's the birthday of Stanley, and they are supposed to attend the birthday. But this birthday party is converted into a havoc, and later we find that this birthday is a nightmare for the other characters. They not only just come here to visit Stanley, but they are the ones who will lead to Stanley's downfall. And you see Stanley going, some people coming and taking Stanley away at the end. On this birthday party, this play, The Birthday Party, is very famous, and UGC NET ke andar there have been so many questions about this play. For example, what was the gift that the others decided to give Stanley for the birthday party, right? So it was the drum. So these small questions they have already asked. Also, setting of the play is something they have asked questions from. So you should know the publishing date, that is 1957. You should know which game they were playing, which is the gift they decided to give Stanley, what all are the characters that are there, and who is the protagonist. These all things should be clear to you. Then we have Endgame. This is another play that is by Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett is an absurdist writer. He writes related to the genre of absurdist literature. It is a tragic comic play, and it is a one-act play about a blind man, right? So Endgame is about a blind, paralyzed elderly person, and he is there living with his parents, and they are living and they are complaining, and they are living in this abandoned house, and it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland that is in which they are surrounded, and they are waiting for their own end. So this is basically the plot, and the end of the play is basically the end of the relationship between the few characters that you have in the End Game by Samuel Beckett. Then we have a Rhinoceros. So the Rhinoceros is an important play. It is a play by Eugene Ionesco. So Eugene Ionesco wrote it in 1959. So this play, why is it important? The play was also included in Martin Eslin's study of the post-war avant-garde movement, the theater of the absurd. So this play is important. This play has different characters. The most important character is the Beranger. Beranger is also a character in the other plays of on UNESCO as well. And this has been the question as well. So who is the character that he invented and introduced in the other series as well? So it is Beranger. This play is important because it talks about the totalitarianism that was going on, the phenomena of totalitarianism that was going on during that time, and it talks about the havoc that it has been creating in our life. It is related to the theater of the absurd, how we are losing hope. So we find that there are different characters. They talk to one another. There is one sylogist as well. They are talking about how irrational our life is, how without any reason we are just living in this life, and one day we are just going to die. The life that we are living is futile. All of them actually try to, gradually with the passage of the time in the play, you realize that each and every one is touched by the rhinoceros and they're all converting into rhinoceros. So this theme of totalitarianism is what you find UNESCO touching upon. So this is the play Rhinoceros in 1959. Right, now next we have this question: which of the playwriters have been correctly matched with their works here? So we have William Wycliffe, William Wycherley, and the play is The Rivals. We have Ben Jonson, the play is Volpone or The Fox. Then we have William Congreve, The Country Wife. Then we have Ephra Ben, The Dutch Lover, and the last is Richard Sheridan, The School for Scandal. So what do you think? Which of them are correctly matched and which is not a correct pair? That the answer is D. So B, D and E. B, D and E are correctly matched. Let us see. That means William Wycherley has not written The Rivals and William Congreve has not written The Country Wife, while it is Ben Jonson who has very much written Volpone, which is also called as The Fox. It's a play by Ben Jonson. And then we have Ephra Ben. Ephra Ben has written what? She has written The Dutch Lover. She is extremely famous for the other plays like Orinoco. And then we have the very important writer, that is Richard Sheridan, and he is famous for The School of Scandal. Now, one thing I want to tell you, whichever text you see in this question and whoever writer you see, all of them are very famous and UGC definitely asks questions from them. So you cannot leave any of these writers and plays. Know the year of publication and know about the other works of the writers also. Now let us see the solution. So The Country Wife is a restoration comedy that is written not by William Wycherley, that was written by William Wycherley. So Country Wife is written by William Wycherley and it was first performed in 1679. So it's a restoration comedy. And then what we have? Then we have The Rivals. The Rivals is written by Richard Sheridan and it's a 5-act play that was first performed at the Covent Garden Theatre in 17 January year. And what was the year? It was 1775, right? So then what we just gained out of it? So The Country Wife is a restoration comedy and it was published when? It was published in 1675. And The Rivals, that was by Richard Sheridan, that was the play of 5 acts. It was first performed at the Covent Garden Theatre. It came out in 17 January 1775. Then choose the plays written by Lord Byron. So Lord Byron has written few plays. What all are the plays that are written by him? Let us see the answer. The answer is D. That means A, C and D. A, C and D are the right answer. The Sardanapalus and the Cain and the 2 Foscari, that is the historical tragedy, are the plays that are written by Lord Byron. Let us see. The Hellas, that is the verse drama that you find in the options, is not written by Lord Byron, but it is a work of P.B. Shelley, and it was written when? It was written in 1821. It was published when? It was published in 1822 by Charles and James Oliver in London. So Shelley wrote it while he was living in Pisa, and this is the basically with the view of the Greek war that was going on. Then we have the cenci. The cenci is a tragedy in 5 acts, and it came out in 1819. It's a verse drama, and it is written again by P.B. Shelley. That means cenci and Hellas are the works of P.B. Shelley, while the other are the works of Lord Byron. Both are extremely important writers and poets as well of the Romantic age. Then we have John Bunyan. John Bunyan authored which of the following that you see? These are the plays and the poetries. So we have the Pilgrim's Progress, Grace Abounding, Short View. Then we have the Holy War, the Thoughts on Education. So which of these are written by what? Whom? Written by John Bunyan, right? So we already know, and this is something is missing, the Short View of the Immortality. We all know the full title is not there. The Short View of the Immortality is the full title. But let us know that the answer is, of course, D. The answer is D. That means A, B and D. That means A, B and D are written by whom? Written by John Bunyan. The Pilgrim's Progress, the Grace Abounding and the Holy War, the Short View of the Immortality and the Thoughts of Education are not written by John Bunyan. Let us see. The Short View of the Immortality and the Profaneness of the English Stage is a book that is by Jeremy Collier. And we all should be clear that it is Jeremy Collier who has written the Short View of the Immortality and the Profaneness of the English Stage. Then the Thoughts on Education, it is written by Mary Wollstonecraft, right? So these two works are not written by John Bunyan, while the Pilgrim's Progress, the Grace Abounding and the Holy War are written by John Bunyan, right? So complete the title here. It was some typing error. Then, which of the following works have been authored by Thomas de Quincey? So, Thomas de Quincey authored which of the following work? Confessions of an English Opium Eater, the French Revolution, Hudibras, Autobiography and Supria de Profundis. So, out of these, which of the following have been authored by Thomas de Quincey? So, the right answer is C. That means A, D and E are written by him. A, Confessions of an English Opium Eater. It is written by Thomas de Quincey, and here he is talking about his addiction with opium and how with opium only, without consuming it, he is not able to write. Just like Coleridge, who without opium or drug dose could not have written Kubla Khan, he could not have written the Confessions of an English Opium Eater. Then we have D, that is Autobiography, and E, that is the Supria de Profundis. Let us see further. The French Revolution is a historical book that is written by Thomas Cyril, and it's an important book. Already they have asked this few times. And Hudibras is a very important poem. It's a mock heroic style poem by none other than Samuel Butler. It was published in 3 parts, first in 1663, then in 1664, and then in 1678. So Hudibras, a poem that was written in mock heroic style, that means in full grandeur it is written, right? So it's a mock heroic style and it is written by Samuel Butler. What is the age time frame of Samuel Butler? It is 1613 to 1680. This was published in 3 parts. Then which of the following works have been written by Thomas Cyril? Now, which of these works are written by Thomas Cyril? They are asking. Of Heroes and Hero Worship, the French Revolution, of Human Bondage, the R and the Man and Hudibras. So let us see what is the right answer. The right answer is A, and they are asking which of these have been written by him. That means A and B of Hero and Hero Worship and the French Revolution are the only works that are written by Thomas Cyril, while the other are not written by him. So Hudibras, we just saw it is written by Samuel Butler. So of Human Bondage, it's a contemporary novel, it's a modernist novel that is written by none other than W. Somerset Maugham in 1915. So it's a novel by W. Somerset Maugham. The novel is generally agreed to be the Maugham's masterpiece and to be strongly autobiographical in nature, right? So this is a novel, not an autobiography, but much in it an autobiography. It is more than autobiography, and it's like an invention that he did. This is what he wanted to say about his own work. So this is a work by Somerset Maugham. Then the R and the Man, it's a historical romance by Harriet Martineau. And then we have Hudibras. Hudibras, as I told you, published in 3 parts. It's a mock heroic work of Samuel Butler, right? So that means only of Hero and Hero Worship and the French Revolution are the works of Thomas Cyril. Then there are some other works of Thomas that are important. It is Sartor Resartus that was written in 1831, and note please that the dates are important because they do ask it to set it in the chronological order. So we have Sartor Resartus, the French Revolution, a history that was written in 1837. Then we have On Hero and Hero Worships and Heroic in History, that was published in 1841. Then we have Oliver Cromwell's Letters and Speeches that were there seen in 1845, and Past and Present, another important work, in 1843. Then, which of the following books are written by Julia Kristeva, a feminist writer? Julia Kristeva. A, that is The Desire in Language, a semiotic approach to literature and art. Then we have Illuminations, Syntax and Semantics. Then we have La Révolution du Language Pratique, and then we have The Mad Woman in the Attic. So which of these is not written by Julia Kristeva? And here they're asking which of these are written by her. So the right answer is the C, that means A and D. A and D. The Desire in Language and La Révolution du Language are the 2 texts that are written by Julia Kristeva, while the others are not written by her. So Illumination is a book that is written by Walter Benjamin, and it is Peter Cole who has written about syntax and semantics, and we should be very clear that The Mad Woman in the Attic is a text that is written by Sandra Gilbert and Susan Goddard, right? So we should know, and of course if we eliminate E also, then at least one option is deleted. And Illumination is a very famous work as well by Walter Pater. So if you just strike out B, that is there in every topic, then also you can easily find the answer. Right? So we should know that The Mad Woman in the Attic was a very important text, and this text was first seen in the form of this book in 1979. This text is highly utilized in the novel Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is a novel that that talks about this woman called as Bertha Mason, and she is locked up at the shaft at the upper side of the house at the 5th floor at the very secluded place, and she is the one who is categorized as a mad woman. And we use this text, Mad Woman in the Attic, during this Victorian age, because according to the Victorians, the woman who tries to just defy the rule of how a good woman should be, if she is denying how a good woman should be, then they are what? They are devils. They are the one who are mad. But if they conform to the rules of the society, then they are what? Then they are angels. So there was always a conflict. A woman should be an angel, otherwise she'll be a mad woman in the attic. If not, then they are categorized as someone who is lascivious, someone who is promiscuous, someone who is not fit for the society and is locked up as a mad woman, right? And what the man has to do, the man is a knight in the shining armor. That is always correct, and he will always protect the angel that is there, right? So this is basic concept, and you should be clear that Sandra Gilbert and Susan Goddard has written this text, and it is written from the feminist perspective. To which of the following theories new historicism is indebted? Marxism, formalism, reader response theory, existentialism, and hermeneutics. So let us see the right answer. It is A, that is the right answer. It is A and C, Marxism and the reader response theory. So the new historicism is in depth with Marxism and the reader response theory. Let us move forward. Which of the following statements is true about the cyberpunk? So it's a kind of science fiction. It uses the postmodernist techniques and postmodernist themes as well. Events in this novel usually take place within the virtual reality. It is a kind of fiction written using the online platforms. The first cyberpunk was written by Thomas Stern. So which of these is correct whenever we talk about cyberpunk? So let me show you the answer. It is C, that is the correct answer. C, that means A, B and C are correct. A, that means this is a kind of science fiction. B, it uses the postmodernist techniques and themes. And then we have C, events in this novel usually take place within the virtual reality. Right? So cyberpunk is a science fiction genre in which the future world is portrayed as one which the society is largely controlled by computers. It's a world where artificial intelligence is the heart of whatever we are doing. We are relying on computers, and our daily life is at the expense of these computers, and the social order as well is controlled by none other than the artificial intelligence. Identify the correct pairs that the question gives you. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, The Feast of the Goat. Then we have Louis Borges, right? And the text is The Autumn of the Parch. And then we have Salman Rushdie. He has written The Enchantress of the Florence. We have E.L. Doctorow, he has written Ragtime, and we have A.S. Bate, and he has written Possession. So which of these is correct? Is it Borges who has already written The Autumn of the Farrar, or is it Gabriel Garcia Marquez who has written The Feast of the Goat? And which of these is correct and which of these is not? So the right answer is D. That means which of these is correct pair? That Salman Rushdie has written The Enchantress of the Florence. We have E.L. Doctorow has written the very famous work Ragtime. And the last but not the least, we have A.S. Bate who has written Possession. Now all of these works are important. Salman Rushdie's other works are also important, like Midsummer Night's Dream, and he has written Satanic Verses and other works, and all of them are important. And then of course he received a lot of prizes as well. So they do ask about Salman Rushdie a lot. And then we have Ragtime being another postmodern novel. But A.S. Bate is one novel, Possession, that is by A.S. Bate, is one novel that they keep on asking. You should know about the two students or the two scholars who were finding solutions, which book they were reading, which library they visited, about whom they were discovering. All of these things have already been asked. So you have to read these texts in greater detail. Then Louis Borges is someone who hasn't written the Autumn of the Patriarch. And then we have the Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who himself has not written the Feast of the Goat, right? The Feast of the Goat is written by Mario Marques Llosa, and the Autumn of the Patriarch is written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, right? So the Autumn of the Patriarch is written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Which of the following books is written by Aravind Adiga? So the blue bead spread is the book written by Aravind Adiga or not? Between the Assassinations, The House of the Blue Mangoes, The Last Man in Tower, and The White Tiger. Which of these are the books that are written by Aravind Adiga? So the right answer is B. That means B, D and E. Between the Assassinations is written by Aravind Adiga. The Last Man's Tower, and of course this work is what we are all clear about, that is The White Tiger, is written by Aravind Adiga. But The Blue Bedspread is not written by Aravind Adiga. It is a 1999 novel, a first novel by an English writer, and his name is Raj Kamal Jha, and The House of the Blue Mangoes is written by David Devender. Then there are some other novels that are written by Aravind Adiga, and these are the novels like The White Tiger, written in 208. Then we have Between the Assassins, The Last Man, Selection Day. All of them are important. Which among the following are correctly matched? J.M. Coetzee, he is from South Africa. Margaret Atwood from Canada. Philip Roth from Australia. Where then we have Orhan Pamuk, he is from Turkey. And then we have Graham Swift from New Zealand. So what will be the correct answer? Correct answer would be B. Which of them is correctly matched? J.M. Coetzee is from South Africa. Margaret Atwood is from Canada, and then we have the Orhan Pamuk, and he is from Turkey, while these two are wrongly matched. Let us see. Philip Roth is an American novelist, whereas Graham Collins is an English writer, right? So one is from America, one is from England. Which among the following is correct in the context of R.K. Narayan? So The Guide is an open-ended novel. Most of the characters in this novel are from the elite section of the society. He wrote a short story titled The Martyr's Corner. He received the Booker Prize for his novel The Vendors of Sweets. Is it correct? Then Malgudi is a real-life city in Canada. Karnataka. I'm sorry, not Canada, in Karnataka. So is it correct? Now let us see the right answer. It is B, that is the right answer. That means A and C are correct. Rest are not correct. A and C. His novel Guide definitely is an open-ended novel because we don't know the ending. And then we have C, that is the short story, The Martyr's Corner, is written by him. Now we know that most of the characters are not from the elite section of the society, but from the middle classes. And then it is, he did not receive Booker Prize for Vendors of the Sweets, right? And then we all know that Malgudi is not a real city in Karnataka, but a fictional town that he created, right? So you should all be clear, and this was a bonus question. So Narayan's mentor and friend Graham Greene was instrumental in getting published his novel, right? Published all his novels, and Narayan's first 4 novels, including the semi-autobiographical trilogy of Swami and Friends, Bachelor of Arts, and The English Teacher, are all attributed to Graham Greene because he helped them to get published. The fictional town of Malgudi was the firstly introduced town that we see in Swami and Friends. Then The Financial Expert was hailed as one of the most original texts of 1951. Sahitya Academy Award winner The Guide was also adopted as a film. So these are the few facts that you should know about our very own R.K. Narayan. Identify the correct pairs. We have J.C. Ransom, then we have the book is Criticism, and then we have William Ibsen, and then the work is The Seven Types of Ambiguity. Then we have the Kenneth Brooks and R.P. Warren, that is the book is Understanding Poetry. We have R.P. Blackmore, In Search of the New Criticism. We have Alan Tate, The New Apologist of Poetry. So what is the right answer? The right answer is A. We have to find the correctly matched pairs. A, B and C are very much correct. It is J.C. Ransom who has written Criticism. William Ibsen has written The Seven Types of Ambiguity. We have Kenneth Brooks and R.P. Warren who has written Understanding Poetry. Now let us see the other options. In Search of the New Criticism is written, it's a book by Kenneth Brooks, a very important work. And The New Apologist for Poetry is the work that is written by Murray Krieger, right? So these are the pairs that were not correctly matched. Thomas Rhymer coined the term poetic justice to imply which of these following? So he is trying to say that what is poetic justice? Is it the distribution of the earthly rewards and punishments in appropriation to the virtue or the vice of the various characters? The literary work governed by the decorum and morality? The literary work guided by random ways, things often worked out at the actual world? Then the metaphysical nature of the poetic experience, the justification of poetry to be integral part of the ideal republic. What is the right answer? The right answer is A. That means A and B are correct. He's trying to say, what is your poetic justice? The poetic justice is the distribution of the earthly rewards. If you have done justice, God will give you benefits. Otherwise, you will bore what? You will bore only pain. So the distribution of earthly rewards and punishments in proportion to the vices and virtue that you have done and that the various characters have done, and the literary work governed by the decorum and the morality. So according to Thomas Rhymer, a person, a character, a protagonist always has to follow poetic justice. In a play, in an epic, there will always be poetic justice that would prevail at the end. This means that at the end, you will see that if the protagonist has done something wrong, then they will suffer. But if they have done something right, then they'll get rewards out of it. Hence, he talks about the decorum and the morality that is important. The term was coined by this English literary critic Thomas Rhymer in around 17th century, when it was believed that the work of literature should uphold the moral principles and the instruct and the reader should be correct, and they should give reader the correct information as well. He used these words not only for the protagonist or for the other characters, but he said that at least the work of art, the criticism that you are saying, should also be morally correct. Which among the following are written by Roland Barthes? Allegories to reading, methodologies, the pleasure of the text, some verses of past, and what is an author are written by Roland Barthes. So A is the right answer. That means B and C are written by Roland Barthes. That means methodologies and the pleasure of the text are written by Roland Barthes, while the others are not written by him. Methodologies and the pleasure of the text are the only two texts that are written by him. The Allegories of Reading is a very important work that is by none other than Paul de Man, and he is trying to set forth the mode of reading, and he exemplifies that mode of reading by few texts that are taken by Rousseau, Nietzsche, Rilke and Proust, right? So he's referring to the text, Robert. So he's, referring to the exemplifying text of these writers. So the allegories of reading, that is Paul the Man, is targeting on these texts. Then we have some versions of Pastoral. It is a work not that famous, but still a work of William Epson. What is an author? A very famous work, and it's a lecture on literary theory that was given by the French philosopher and the sociologist Michel Foucault, right? Which of the following are correctly matched? Is it Jonathan Culler, who has written Culture and Society? Raymond Williams has written Literary Theories, a short view, a very short introduction. Terry Eggleton, Criticism and Ideology. Walter Benjamin, who has written Illuminations. And then we have Stanley Fish, who has written The Implied Reader. So what is the correct answer? Which of these are correctly matched? It is B, that is the correct answer. We have already seen Illumination. Again, they are repeating it. So this would be correct. It is Walter Benjamin, of course. And then we have C, that is Terry Eggleton. He has written Criticism and Ideology, while the other are not correctly matched. So the Literary Theory, a short view, a very short introduction, is a book by Jonathan Culler, while the Culture and the Society, the book published in 1985, is written by none other than R. Raymond Williams. And how can you forget this text? It's a very, very important canonical work. And then we have The Implied Reader, and this is written by Wolfgang Escher. Which among the following are true in the context of methods and methodologies in the literary research? So in a literary research, how do you study? These are the different methods and these are the different methodologies. Both are identical in nature. Methods, how do you distinguish between methods and methodologies? Methods are concerned with how one conducts a given piece of research. Methodologies are concerned with how one conducts a given piece of research, how one is concerned with, right? And then methodologies are concerned with the perspective one brings to bear to one's or on one's work, and the methods are concerned with the perspective one brings to bear on one's work. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is D. That means B and D are correct. B and D are correct. What is the B statement? What do you mean by method? A method is concerning everything that is to do with how to conduct that particular thing. That is a method. How do you make coffee? All the steps that would be written, that's a method of preparation. So methods are concerned with how one conducts a given piece of research. And D, what are methodologies? Methodologies are concerned with the perspective one brings. My methodologies are to do things in this manner, but the methods of to make coffee is already pre-described. This is these two statements are correct. That is B and D. According to the English Subject Center report, skills needed for the postgraduate work in English include searching skills in libraries, or is it editorial skills? Is it the bibliographic skills, or is it peer management skills, or IT skills? Which all skills are very important whenever we talk about the English Subject Center report, which says that to be a postgraduate student in the work of literature, these all qualities are important for you. So the right answer is D. That means A, B, C and E are important. A, how to search in the libraries is important. Editorial skills are very important. Bibliographic skills are important, and you should have IT skills. But the peer management skills is not needed for an English literature student or an English subject student, while for management it can be important. Which of the following are possible ways of turning a topic into an argument? So we all know there should be an argument, there should be a hypothesis, then only we can move forward in research. So they are asking, one topic can be converted into an argument. How? An argument for or against an existing critique in relation to the author or a group of work one is studying. An argument about the value of a new theoretical approach to a text or set of texts. An argument about some historical or literary historical aspects of literature. An argument showing how a particular theme or concept is not at all related to a group of texts. An argument about the significance of only well-known author and work. So what would be the correct answer? The correct answer would be A. That means A, B and C would be correct. How can you convert a statement into an argument? An argument for or against about a critic should be established according to the author and the group when you are studying. An argument about the value of the theoretical approach, and an argument about the historical and the literary historical perspective should be there. Then there is list 1 and there is list 2, and we have to match the following. So Sri Aurobindo, Kamla Das, P. Lal and Toru Dutt are the few poets that are given. We have the Old Playhouse and the poems. We have Calcutta, the long poem, A Shelf Glean and in French Fields, and Savitri. So we all know the right answer, but let us see. It is a B. That is the right answer. You should know that Sri Aurobindo has written Savitri, and B is to be matched with 1, that is Kamla Das has written the Old Playhouse. We have P. Lal who has written Calcutta, and then Toru Dutt has written the poetry A Shelf Gleaned. So Savitri is a legend and a symbolical poetic main work of Sri Aurobindo that was composed in nearly 2,400 lines, right? And this is a blank verse. It is based on the legend of Savitri and Satyaval that is also mentioned in Mahabharata, which has given this symbolic figure and significance by Sri Aurobindo. The Old House and the Other Poems is a book of poetry collections by Kamla Surya, and then we have, and Kamla Das, she is also called. And P. Lal Das has written this poem that is called as Calcutta in 1977, that was reprinted in 1996. And the last but not the least, this is the poem The Shelf Glean in French Fields, is written by Toru Dutt. Then again, this is a question of match or following. There is again the list of poems, and there are the writers. We have Walt Whitman, we have A.D. Hope, Derek Walcott, and Allen Ginsberg. There we have Howl, A Far Cry from Africa, Beat Beat Drums, and we have Australia. So from which is the text that you will match with each other? C is the right answer. A to be matched with 3. So Walt Whitman has written Beat Beat Drums. We have A.D. Hope who has written Australia. Derek Walcott, we know, has written The Far Cry to Africa. And the last but not the least, Howl is a work of Allen Ginsberg. Then this is list 1. These are few statements that you find, or few quotes that are very famous from the works of William Shakespeare, and they are the list of, on the other side you find a list of the works that are written by him. So come what come may, time and the hour runs through the toughest day. When the sorrows come, they come not single spice. And I am a man more sinned against that sinning. But I will wear my heart upon my sleeves for those to pick at. For those to pick at, I am nor what I am. What is the correct answer? So the correct answer is C. Correct answer is C. That means A would be matched with 3. A would be matched with 3. This is a text. This line is from the text Macbeth. Then we have B with 4. B with 4. This is a text by Hamlet, and correct the spelling, it is Hamlet. Then we have C to 2. That means C is to be matched with 2, and at the end we have the work, the statement D is by King Lear. Right, now I have these chronologically set plays of Shakespeare, and you should know that these plays, you have to remember all of these plays and of course the titles of these plays, and you should also know the date of composition. So we can read the play and then you can learn the composition, take screenshots yourself. We have Love's Labour Lost, we have Henry, and these are the plays that he has already written. Some are the tragedies and some are comedies. Then we have the Comedy of Errors, then we have Henry VI, and then we have the other parts as well. Taming of the Shrew, we have Edward III, we have Richard III, we have King John, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Richard II during that time only. Then we have Merchant in the Venice and the other plays. And then what is important, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, Henry V, Julius Caesar being important. Then we have Hamlet, Twelfth Night, All's Well That Ends Well, Measure for Measure, and Othello. Then we have King Lear and Macbeth. All of these are important. Pericles, that's important too. Cymbeline, Tempest being the early plays and one of the most important play. Right. Then we have again list 1 and list 2. List 1 ke andar you have statements, and then we have the novels, and then you have to match it. You cannot eat the orange and throw the peel away. A man is not a piece of fruit. Liberty means responsibility. That is why most men dread it. Nobody thinks, nobody cares, no beliefs, no convictions, and no enthusiasm. Just another Sunday evening. The last, our house has been nothing but a classroom. I have been your doll riot, just as at home I was Papa's doll child, and here the child have been my dolls. Right? So which is the statement, and you find it in which play? Then we have D as the right answer. A would be matched with 3. A would be matched with 3. This statement is from the text, The Death of a Salesman. These are the given plays that we have. B to 1. The Liberty line that we read is from the play, a very important play, Man and Superman. Then we have C to be matched with 4. C to be matched with 4. This line, Nobody Thinks, is from the Look Back in Anger, play by John Osborne. And then the last but not the least, we have D. This statement is why. This statement is from Doll's House. This is the ending of Doll's House, when we see that the woman is just exiting the house and the door is closed. Now she has had enough of the problems, and now she thinks that she wants liberty and she wants freedom. She does not want to be treated as a toy anymore. Then we have again list 1 and list 2. These are mostly the questions of match the following only. We have anthropology, then we have postmodern geography, then we have diaspora space, and we have Daisian. So these are the few movements and the few terms that were made important by the theorists. We have the theorists Edward Soja, Martin Heidegger, we have Claude Lévi-Strauss, and we have Avatar Bham. So how do you connect it? And this is very easy itself. C is the right answer. A would be matched with 3. Anthropology is itself a work that is written by Claude Lévi-Strauss. Postmodern geography is a term that Edward Soja popularized. Diasporic space is something that is talked by Avatar, and Martin Heidegger talked about Daisian. So let us read something about it. So, applying these Caesarean principles, we see that the realm of anthropology is made famous by the writer none other than the Claude Lévi-Strauss in his work Structuralist Anthropology that was published in 1958. This analyzes the cultural phenomena of reading methodology and kinship and food preparation. So, he is talking about methodology, kinship and food preparation, applying all these concepts of Lang and Parole in his search of the fundamental structures of human mind. Lévi-Strauss argues that myths are present everywhere and myths form all cultures as well as human thought across cultures. He shared this that across all cultures they have the same underlying structures and same universal laws. Postmodern geography, as I told you, is seen in the book and is also the book of Edward Seoja. Then we have Avtar Bra. He has written Diaspora, Border and Transactional Identities. This work talks about cartographies of diaspora, published in 1996. In this important essay, he introduces the concept of diaspora space as a location where the concepts of diaspora, border, politics, location all mingle up. He begins by defining the concept of diaspora as what? An interpretive frame. What is diaspora? When you are at exile, when you're changing places, when you move from one place to another, this movement is the diasporic literature. It comes from this word dispersal. This dispersal of the Jews that happened gave this name diaspora to itself. Right? They're talking about the economic, political, cultural dimensions that are coming into play. He's not only talking about immigrants, but he's talking about refugees, the guest workers, etc., or the people who are at exile. Dasein, it's a fundamental concept of existential philosophy that Martin Heidegger has talked about. So Heidegger uses the expression Dasein to refer to the experience of being that is particular to human beings. Then another match the following. We have list 1 and we have list 2. The poetics of prose, structuralist politics, the implied reader, and is there a text in the class? The other list is Wolfgang Escher. It is Troubadour, or is it Stanley Fish, or is it Jonathan Keller? So we know the right answer is B. That means A would be matched with 3. The Poetics of Prose is written by Tresvit and Troubadour. And then we have Structuralist Politics. It is written by Jonathan Keller. We have Implied Reader, and we know it is written by Wolfgang Escher. And Is There a Text in the Class is written by Stanley Fish. Then there are the important critics that we have. So, and these are the works of criticism. So you have to match these again together, list 1 and list 2. Plato, Aristotle, P.B. Shelley, and we have Philip Sidney. Then we have Rhetoric, Symposium. Then we have the Apology of Poetry and Defense of Poetry. Again, a very easy question. The right answer is D. A would be matched with 3. So it is Plato who has written and talked about Symposium. It is Aristotle who talks about rhetoric. And then we have C to 4. It is P.B. Shelley who has written Defense of Poetry. And Philip Sidney has written Apology of Poetry. This is the right answer, D. Right? So Symposium is this philosophical text by Plato dated about 385 till 370 BC. It depicts the friendly contest of the exponential speech between the groups, and all of these men that are located there in the banquet are attending this conversation, and they are talking about one another. Then Aristotle's Rhetoric is this ancient Greek treatise that is talking about the art of persuasion, and it is dated what? Around 4th century BCE it is dated, right? Then an Apology of Poetry, or also called as the Defense of Poesy, is a work of criticism that is written by Elizabethan poet Philip Sidney, and it was published when? It was published in 1595. A Defense of Poetry is an unfinished work of P.B. Shelley, and it was written in 1821. Right? Let us move forward. Again, we have list 1 and list 2. We have Bertrand Russell, Thomas Stearns Eliot, that means T.S. Eliot. We have W.K. Whitson, and we have Kenneth Brooks. So these are the text. Let us see the right answer. The right answer is A. That means A would be matched with 3. So Bertrand Russell is someone who has written the history of the Western philosophy. T.S. Eliot has written what? Has written The Sacred Wood, no doubt about it. We know that we know already that W.K. Ghimsett has written about how the verbal and irony is being changing, and we know that he has written about the verbal icon as well, and that's the play, that the verbal icon. And Kenneth Brooks, and this is very easy, he has written the well-wrought urn, right? So the well-wrought urn is by Kenneth Brooks. So verbal icon studies the meaning of the poetry, that is William and Ghimsett is going to talk about it. The well-wrought urn is about the structure of the poetry. It is written in 1947, and it was a text or a collection of essays by Kenneth Brooks, and it also gets its name, or the title that we see, that is the well-wrought urn, is taken from Donne's poem, and this is also a PYQ. This poem is called as the Canonization. The History of the Western Philosophy, that was written in 1948, is a work of Bertrand Russell. And the last but not the least, The Sacred Wood is a collection of essays that was first published in 1920 by T.S. Eliot. It includes the many opinions about the authors and about the different plays, right? Then again we have list 1 and list 2. These are the terms or the important terms that you can say, and there are the theorists. So Matthew Arnold, Coleridge, T.S. Eliot and Keats are the list 2, and we have negative capability, sweetness and light, SM plastic, and dissociation of sensibility is the list 1. And it's a very easy question. Again, we have a D as the right answer. A, you can easily match with 4. We all know that negative capability is a term that Keats talk about, and he also writes letter to his brother about these negative capabilities. Then sweetness and light. Sweetness and light is a term that Matthew Arnold uses. SM plastic is a term that Coleridge uses, right? So it's Coleridge. And last but not the least, T.S. Eliot will talk about dissociation of sensibility. So negative capability is a phrase that was used by the romantic poet Keats in the 1817 text, explaining the greatness of a writer and the pursuit of his vision to see the artistic beauty even in that leads him to the intellectual confusion, and how he distances himself from the character that he has maintained. Then we have the Victorian poet and the essayist Matthew Arnold, who used this word and coined this word sweetness and light in his work Culture and Anarchy. Then we have Coleridge. Coleridge refers to SM plastic powers as a power of imagination. SM plastic means shaping into one. So you are shaping, that is, it means you are imagining something and you are shaping it in a positive manner, intuitive manner. Then we have dissociation of sensibility. T.S. Eliot coined it and used it in the essay The Metaphysical Poetics. Metaphysical poets. It refers to the way in which intellectual thought is separated from the experience and feeling in the 17th century. I'm sorry, I think the question is deleted, but the answer has been given. Let me just remove it, or maybe just let us skip it. Okay, this is the question for you. Arrange the works in the chronological sequence. So we have Matthew Arnold's Culture and Anarchy. We have Thomas Browne's The Anatomy of Melancholy. Then we have Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. Walter Pater's Studies in the History of the Renaissance, and P.B. Shelley, Defense in Poesy. So the right answer to this question, I believe there is something jumbled going on. Anyway, let's leave this. Let me just delete it, and in another video we'll solve this question. Okay. Okay, let us start with this question. So we have statement 1 and statement 2. The book The Theatre of Revolt was written by Robert Drustin. And then we have statement 2. The book The Theatre of Revolt is written in the context of French Revolution. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is C. This means that statement 1 is true while statement 2 is false. So we have Robert Brustein. Robert Brustein argues that in his work also, he argues that the roots of the modern theatre may be found in the soil of rebellion cultivation you can say the rebellion that is cultivated by the authors that he talked about. So basically in his book, he is saying that there are 8 outstanding playwriters, and these playwriters are like Ibsen, Strindberg, we have Sherlock, we have Shaw, we have Brecht, we have Perendolo, and we have Eugene O'Neill, and then and Genet as well. And he is focusing on these writers, and he is focusing on each of them. Mr. Brustein considers the nature of their revolt and the methods that are employed in their play, and it focuses on the playwriters as well. So what is the focus? The focus is not on the revolution or the French Revolution, but it is focused on the theory of a revolt. He is talking about these 8 writers and about the theories and about the play and about the protagonists they have written and how do they revolt in their own manner. Then we have the Konstantin Stanislavski collaborated with Anton Chekhov to stage the dramas on the stage. The book My Life in Art was written by Konstantin Stanislavski. In the light of these 2 statements, you have to tell which is correct and which is not correct. So that means B is the right answer. Both the statements are correct. This means that Konstantin collaborated with Chekhov when it came to staging the drama, and the book My Life in Art was also written by him. So My Life in Art is an autobiography that is written by Russian actor and the theater director, that is the Konstantin Stanislavski. The spelling is C here in the question, but that does not matter. It was first commissioned while he was in United States in the tour with the Moscow Art Theater and first published in Boston. It was later revised and again published in the French language edition in Moscow as well. It is divided into 4 sections: the artistic child or the childhood, the artistic youth, the adolescence, and the adulthood. So My Life in Art. Then human bodies, like those of other living organisms, are only sexed from a particular narrowed perspective. These are the lines taken from a very famous text. Most of the reproduction that we undertake in our lifetimes are nothing to do with the sex. So what is the right answer? Are the 2 statements correct? It is B, and the 2 statements are very much correct. The human bodies, like those of the other living organisms, are only sexed from the particular narrow perspective. It's performative in nature, as Judith Butler also says, that we have created all of these things. It is sexed from a very narrow perspective, and most of the reproduction that we undertake in our life is nothing to do with the sex. And both the statements are false. Why? Because both the statements are false. Both the statements are false. Why? Because whatever we do in our life is to do with the sex, and it is the sex that is true, but it is the gender that is performative in nature, and we have created it. So the human bodies, like those of the other organisms, are only sexed from a narrow perspective. No, it is from a broader perspective, and it is the universal truth that they are sex. That means both the two statements are incorrect. So B is the right answer. Both are false, right? Both are false. Okay, then given below are the two statements, assertion and reason. Let us see. So the cooperative learning activities are those in which students must work together in order to complete a task or solve a problem. Then these techniques are used to identify the weak learner and to separate him or her from the rest of the members of the group, or taking special care of him or her. So what is the right answer? The right answer is C. That means A is correct, but R is not the correct explanation. So A, that means the cooperative learning activities. What is cooperative learning activities? One child is helping the another as well. So they are cooperating with one another. Cooperating learning activities are those in which students must work together in order to complete the task. But these techniques are used to identify the weakness of the learners? No, it is to know the strength of the learner and not to separate them from the others, but to make them efficient as well, right? And they should learn the art of working together. So C is the right answer. Then we have another assertion reason. In the second language learning in the classroom, in the same classroom setting, some students progress rapidly through the initial stages of the learning a new language, while the others struggle, making the progress that is very slow. The reason is some learners never achieve native-like command on the second language. So what would be the correct answer? It is B. That means both the statements are correct and R is not the correct explanation of A. That is true that in itself both are correct, but it does not mean that some students progress while some struggle, because they can never achieve. They are just struggling because some are weak, maybe some are less proficient and some are more proficient. So in the second language learning in the same classroom setting, some students can rapidly learn while some can be slow learners. And yes, there are some cases in which the native-like command cannot be there. Of course, in most of the cases, you cannot have the same command, but this does not mean you will be a slow learner. Okay, so these were the few questions that I had. I know there are few questions that I have left in between, and they were chronologically setting questions, and like the questions that was related to the works of Dickens. So we'll discuss it in some other video or some other day in the class, because those were the dropped questions. Also, this question I believe that I read was also a developed question. If not, I'll look into it and then I'll tell you the answer. So these were the few questions that were important, and how to actually study. I want you to look at the options as well and study the options also, right? So I hope you understood the video. If not, you can write it in the comment section. I'll surely reply to you. Thank you for just staying with us and studying. Thank you.